Thank you, gentlemen. I greatly appreciate your taking time off. I know everyone's really busy these days, especially now that things are opening up again. You must be incredibly busy, but thank you very much. And welcome to the third episode of what we call the Motoring Conversations. Today we have with us Mr. P.V. Venugopal, who's the president of Lexus India. We also have Mr. Deepak Gulati, who's the CMO at Bridgestone India. Bridgestone has also very kindly agreed to be the sponsors for this series. So thank you once again. Gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you and start off by talking about the concept of how marketing has changed and is going to continue to change given the situation that we find ourselves in, obviously with regard to COVID. Venu-san, if I might kick off with you.
Okay.
Now, obviously, earlier in the year, as you well know, you made a couple of announcements and there was very big plans, and nobody could have predicted that something would come out of the blue like this and knock this wind out of our sails. How has Lexus been coping with this situation?
Yeah. Thank you, Pablo-san. Thank you, Deepak-san. It's very nice to interact with all of you. So before I actually respond to the marketing side and what is the change point, I think it's very important to speak about the larger impact first. The pandemic, it's affected the entire globe. It is not like any other, like whether it's a flood or any other natural disaster. It would have been only to a particular geography. So this has affected the complete length and breadth and every community. So talking specifically about the luxury segment, what we see a very clear shift in more conscious buyers. So the consciousness in our case, it's more towards the contribution to environment. So some data points that we would like to share with you that when we came in 2017, close to 40% of our buyers, the main purchase reason was because Lexus was a self-charging hybrid electric vehicle.
Right.
But if you see, before the COVID, that percentage had actually gone up to 55 to 60%. But during the COVID period, during lockdown period, and when slowly the unlock is happening, that percentage is increasing to about 72%. So what is the lesson that we learn from a marketing perspective is that our Lexus guests are clearly looking at the trust and also the responsible luxury they can look at experiencing this vehicle. And in that, so from this point of view, we had also worked out a system by which we make our Lexus guest carbon neutral. We plant equal number of trees. So that is one change point that we have had. And we have further started emphasizing on that aspect for our Lexus guest. And from the other marketing and the brand building activities point of view, I think we are unable to have any kind of guest engagement which involves a physical presence in a large space. We are moving, and we have not moved completely to digital because Lexus believes in the emotional side, and we also look at it from we say that we are not in car business, we are actually in people's business. From that point of view, we have moved to something called as a phygital experience. So we try to have a mix of customer engagement in person and also a digital experience. So if I have to put it broadly, I think the marketing is shifting to buyers who are more conscious, who have the trust on the brand. The loyalty is playing a very important role, and the phygital experience is playing a big change. So this is our perspective from a marketing change point.
Understood. Deepak, if I may direct the similar question to you, how is Bridgestone flowing with the times, shall we say?
Sure. Yeah. First of all, hello to Venugopal and hello to you, Pablo. I think Venu started with a very nice point on larger and bigger points before we get into the details. So similarly, I think since the pandemic has affected everyone, so one of the big ways how Bridgestone responded was also, so one of our mottos is serving society with superior quality. And this kind of pandemic really was an opportunity where we could really redirect all of our CSR efforts in a big way in helping the situation of our key customers and key partners. So I think that's the first point. How do you respond to pandemic, which is based on your core ethos and core values? Having said that, I think the way we flow with it, or the way I would club it into maybe 2-3 buckets. So first is, I think that's true for everyone. This is such a huge change, which has led to shifting environment, shifting business priorities, and you need to constantly adjust your whatever you're doing along with that. So to give an example, for example, if you're planning some big launches, but there could be a supply chain disruption, so you got to really refocus your plans, or your budgets have suddenly got curtailed, so you got to rework your marketing plans. So for Bridgestone, one of the big changes which came was postponement of Olympics. So we had really planned a lot of activity around Olympics, because we are one of the top 13 top Olympic sponsors. And it was going to happen in June, and pandemic came in March. So we were all set and ready, and this news came. So we had to totally change our plans and priorities around that. Then coming to more detailed marketing, I would say shifting consumer behaviors. That I would call as the second bucket. So consumer mindset and his top of mind issues are obviously changing with this kind of situation. So health and hygiene, for example, became the top of the mind concern. And I can tell you, nobody was ready for this kind of change. So you got to really rethink on how you're going to appeal to consumer with this kind of things in his mind. So for our category, one big change was shared mobility. So from shared mobility, which was growing very fast, suddenly it became a kind of unsafe option, and a move to personal mobility started. Used car became a huge demand. There was a cash crunch in certain segments, especially for high ticket items. Also, certain challenges like in lockdown, your lifestyle totally changed. People are stressed, they are boxed. So how do you respond to these changes as a marketeer? I would say these were the challenges in front of us.
Yeah, that's, I think, something that, as Venu-san said, something that can be said for pretty much the entire industry. In previous discussions that I've had, people have said that it's the critical aspect has been to be agile and to be flexible. Because this is an unprecedented time in human history. I mean, I hope that none of us ever have to go through something like this again. But I think the fact is that the term to be fleet-footed and to be nimble on your feet has never been more important than it is now. Because every day is a new day. For example, Venu-san, you said now Lexus has always had a reputation, not just here but globally, as for extremely luxurious, superbly built, and very green products. You're talking about, as you said, hybrids. Now, do you think that going forward, you mentioned a fairly high percentage of people who are looking at these vehicles even during COVID? Do you think that will continue to go up? What is your view on that? As now we are now unlocking, right, and things are sort of opening up again, and I don't think I'd be mistaken if I said that pretty much all of us are hoping that things go back to quote unquote normal. But I don't think that will ever happen, because such a big change, there is no going back to exactly the same. So as far as Lexus is concerned, how does that change things? Or what are the opportunities that have presented themselves?
Pablo-san, you're right. So we have been interacting with all our guests and various stakeholders, and we clearly see a shift to more conscious, and we call it responsible luxury. And that is something which we feel that it's going to be on an increasing trend. During our lockdown period, we had a couple of our guests based out of Delhi saying that we have never seen the Himalayas sitting at the center of Delhi. So consciousness of leaving a more cleaner environment for the next generation, for the future, is really on an increasing trend. And you speak to various communities, I think environment is becoming one of the biggest focus in all the discussions. And what is even more heartening is that a Lexus guest who are in a slightly senior age group have the children who play a very big role as influencers. And their consciousness about cleaner vehicles much, much higher. And they always talk about what is Lexus' future about electrification, whether you will continue with self-charging hybrid electric vehicles. And most of them with the press of a button, most of the information is available, and they're able to be so knowledgeable about what's happening across the globe. And they were even so enthusiastic about talking about the new LF concept, the Lexus electrified vehicle, which was showcased in Tokyo in 2019. So this kind of discussions, and we have also been engaging during the lockdown period with many colleges and institutions by talking to them, by having an open session with them to capture what is the future of our country thinking. So these are some of the areas that actually give us a strength and confidence that we are in the right direction, and that consciousness will continue to increase. And India, having the largest number of young population, truly believe that we have a great future, and it's only a matter of time. Yes, of course, this recovery is not going to be V-shaped like before. It's going to take some time, but that's whatever. Even if it's going to be a W-shaped recovery, I think there is a lot of confidence that situation will improve for our country, and not only in luxury car market, but I think in every aspect of our business.
Right, Deepak. The environment is obviously a buzzword today, more so than ever. It's not that it hasn't been. So how does Bridgestone look at the environmental aspect of things? The fact that a much broader range and sort of much broader range of demographic of people in this country, I suddenly realized how important the environment is. So how do you, as a marketer and as a very prominent brand, take that on board and move forward?
Sure. So I think environment, is a buzzword, as you said, and it affects all kind of consumers. So how we look at this in Bridgestone is that being green or being green friendly is one of our important mottos. So one of the big shifts, like which Venugopal-san also talked about, is about electric mobility. And that, I think, is one of the biggest benefits to environment which can come from our industry as we shift to different energy source. And Bridgestone is definitely geared towards providing the right kind of solutions for electric mobility, the right kind of tires which are best for the electric vehicles. So that's, I think, one thing where I would say we are one of the world leaders.
Right.
Secondly, in terms of use of materials in our products and in terms of, let's say, end of life tire management. So these are some of the areas where we can, as an industry, contribute to better environment. And Bridgestone is, again, this is one of our leading priorities, and we are one of the leading players who are working proactively in these directions. Yeah.
Right. Venu-san, as far as Lexus is concerned, what would you say are some of the specific innovations that you have had to, come up with very quickly, I might add, in a period like this, in order to manage the situation? Because, as I said, something like this comes out of the blue and knocks everybody, without any warning whatsoever. And as you well know, throughout the lockdown period, the automotive industry, although it's been hit hard, and frankly, let's face it, even before COVID, the auto industry had its own set of problems. So it's not that it's only been COVID that has to blame, as it were. But we've also seen some encouraging signs in the last few months. And in fact, the luxury market seems to be continuing at a fairly decent pace, because Your competitors have in the last while launched some fairly significant products. There's still buzz about them. People are still looking forward to more products of that nature. So, as far as Lexus is concerned, what can we expect from you, and what are you doing in that regard?
Yeah, Pablo-san, you had also mentioned in an earlier part of your conversation that we did make a very big announcement in the end of January about the local production. And we are fourth among the 90 plus countries uh, selling Lexus. So we became the fourth country in the world to make Lexus in India. So this was possible only because of our direction in line with the government direction of Make in India and Skill India.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of decision happens only when we look at our country from a mid to long term point of view. So this pandemic is affected us a lot, but we were very clear that we will reprioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Our commitment to our country will continue, and we will not stop any of our plans. So the expansion, the production of Make in India started off on 31st of January. We continued, and we had challenges like Deepak-san also mentioned about the supply constraint of parts. Mm-hmm. But we were able to manage because there was encouraging response from our guests. We had back orders. So we were constantly engaging with our guests to ensure that we deliver to them at their convenience. That is something which we took care. And we also announced the expansion of our brand space into 4 additional cities. Like currently we are present in Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. So we also announced expansions in Hyderabad, Chennai, Chandigarh, and Kochi.
That's right.
So we were planning to have this brand space by end of this year. But due to this situation, we are not changing the plan of getting it in the 4 cities, but the timeline slightly changes. So we would possibly have it by March, April 2021. So there has been only a delay because of the construction, because of our migrant workers moving out of the cities. Mm-hmm. So to put it in a perspective, the larger plans of the expansion, the larger plans of the producing in India was unchanged or untouched. But at the same time, looking at the kind of challenges that it is completely unpredictable. So we always use this word guesstimation. So right. No one was sure what is going to be the number, what is going to be the how do we have to plan our budgets. Right. So we worked, and it had to be done on a month-on-month basis. So during the lockdown period, there was absolutely no sale. Slowly the unlock period started. Since we are present in these 7 cities, some cities went for a lockdown, intermittent lockdown. So these were some of the challenges that we had to face. So we had to quickly adjust our logistics. We had to quickly adjust our part supplies, both from Japan and then from within. And then accordingly, we were managing the sales and also revisited our CBU imports. But one thing that kept focus on was on our engagement with our guests, because at this point of time, for the guests who are already owning our Lexus, the service and the after sales support becomes extremely important. So even during the restrictions, we were able to connect with our guests through virtual. We were continuously educating on how they can take care of their cars. And then we were also organizing roadside assistance in case there is an issue. So this is something which has actually strengthened the relationship between Lexus and the Lexus guest. So because we had something called as a single point of contact, because these Lexus guests always prefer hassle-free experience, and they would like to talk to only one person within the dealer organization, so for which they can get solutions to all their issues. So that engagement actually helped us. And slowly the brand spaces, we were actually creating a more safer and hygienic environment for the guests to slowly start visiting our facilities. So these were the few small changes that we could actually carry out.
Right. And how have your guests responded to this situation? Because obviously there's at your end of the market, it's a certain kind of customer who frankly expects the best.
Yes.
And for this sort of disruption to come into the ecosystem is a big shock for them as well, because suddenly they have to adjust to a completely new world. So how have your guests responded to, for example, the measures that you were talking about? Because it must be difficult for them to adjust as well.
Yeah.
Not the easiest thing.
Yeah. So the initial period, there was a lot of hesitation and reluctance, but
Right.
I think over a period of time, continuously engaging with them and giving them the confidence and actually demonstrating to them on how safe the operations are and how we are taking care of it actually helped. I think I should thank each and every one of the 150 plus professionals that we have across the country in constantly engaging with our guests. So I think constant discussion, communication has really helped. So during this period, I think the Lexus guest also had sufficient time to interact on the digital medium. So we were able to connect through FaceTime, and then we were able to explain to them. They had the time to listen. So we had this kind of a discussion ongoing that really helped us in strengthening. So the most important is that when the Lexus guest, instead of being reactive, proactively, if you are able to take care of their needs and anticipating the need of the guest, has actually helped us strengthen our operations.
Right. Deepak, if I may ask, now with the economy is opening up again, therefore we are seeing, certainly in the automobile industry, pent-up demand, some pretty encouraging numbers. So how does Bridgestone, a company like Bridgestone, which is an essential part of the ecosystem, because frankly, let's face it, you're kind of making the shoes for a lot of these automobiles, but the sudden spurt in demand, how do you keep up with that? It's from going to almost a full lockdown situation where everything is shut, and these are plants. Modern plants need to keep running. It's difficult to just suddenly shut something down and then immediately start it up again. So how do you cope with that?
Yeah, sure. An excellent question. Yeah, so I think you only use the word agility, right? So I think the Bridgestone team did a great job in terms of being very closely coordinated and staying in touch with the reality and constantly kind of evaluating and responding. So that was one of the things which really helped us respond to the changing consumer needs, as well as spurt in demand and responded beautifully. So it was kind of a full cross-functional effort. All functions were involved. So I think that was one of the things. And Venu-san mentioned about communication. We focused a lot on internal communication as well as communication with our customers, our partners. So these are the things I think which kept us really nimble and ready to respond. Apart from that, I think we were also talking of innovations. So to me, these are the times, the crisis times, which are really right times when innovation comes to the forth, right? The crisis leads to opportunities, and that's where you come with innovation. So I also agree with Venugopal-san that there's a big shift to digital, which is happening, or I would say it's accelerating. So be it digital payments, online media, e-commerce, or like using FaceTime or video conferencing to talk to your customers. It used to be only talking to your family earlier. So leveraging the digital ecosystem to build your brand and deliver a customer experience, I think it's one of the big opportunities which we leveraged on. So we launched a few things, like we launched a service called Book My Service. So entire category, you can search online, but finally you have to go to the dealership for a fitment. But as the lockdown was opening up, a lot of people were going to use their cars who have never used, also haven't used for a long time, and then they would need to make sure that their tires are in good shape for a safe driving experience. So we expected a lot of the people will land up in dealerships, and that could be unsafe in the social distancing environment. So we created this service, Book My Service, where you can book online and reach the store on appointment time, avoid the queues, and be in a safe environment.
Right.
At the same time, we also provided hygiene kits at our dealerships, the select dealerships, so that the store offers a very safe kind of environment. Another service we launched was pick up and drop valet service. Again, it is, we've tied up with one of the reputed companies, and a driver will come and pick up your car, get the tires fitted, and return to your home. And you maintain your safety and social distancing. Similarly, we launched doorstep delivery, so the fitment could happen at home. So these are some of the kind of services we launched. Another area which is, I think, going to take a huge leap, but is currently at a nascent stage, is e-commerce,
Right.
especially in the tires category.
Hmm.
And the key kind of challenge in tires is fitment. So you can look at online, you can select, but finally you have to get it fitted. And that needs a physical kind of facility.
Yeah.
So we are working on several strategies to significantly improve the customer experience in terms of fitment also, so that it becomes a holistic experience. Venu-san talked about phygital experiences. So to me, in fact, I see, especially for premium and luxury consumers, in future the dealership will be more of a experience center, where they kind of get immersed in the product, understand what it has to offer, how it can improve their life. But commerce could actually be left to more of a digital system or a digital ecosystem, something like that. So yeah, so that's how the dealerships could evolve. Yeah. Another area is new business models. So I think there is a cash crunch in the market, especially small businesses have got hurt. But we do have growing middle class, and responsible luxury is the trend, right?
Right.
So there are these younger consumers who do want to experience the luxury, but probably don't have, let's say, the affordability at this time. So developing certain affordable, let's say, subscription models,
right,
or financing solutions, where you don't have to worry about all the payment today, and you can have a more ongoing pay-per-use kind of model. I think these are the kind of innovations which we are working on, which we've thought about, and which can bring some shifts in the category.
Right. Venu-san, as far as digital is concerned, now buying a car is, no matter at what end of the spectrum it might be, buying a car is a very aspirational and emotional experience. Whether it's a little hatchback or whether it's a ultra luxury car, it is an emotional experience. You want to go out and see it, touch it, feel it, sit in it. Often it's a family experience as well, especially at the luxury end of the market, and especially with the Lexus, which places so much importance on craftsmanship, on perfection, which can only really be experienced if you look at it yourself, or if you run your finger down, a leather seat or something like that. How does that translate to the new normal? How does the new customer get used to this?
So when I spoke about the phygital experience, it's actually before we offer the vehicle for experience, because there could have been multiple discussions which would have happened face to face.
Right.
Those discussions are becoming more digital. I think more preliminary discussions to talk about the product, to talk about the philosophy of Lexus, happening more through digital. We are sharing a couple of videos to explain about how craftsmanship, about how the product is made, how the culture is, how our after sales operations are. But you're absolutely right, especially in our country, car buying is a very, very emotional and sentimental experience. And so we have to give the confidence to our guests, both existing as well as the intenders, on how safe it is to have the test drive experience. So previously, the test drive experience could have been for a shorter duration, but for the comfort of our guest, we are looking at a longer experience period. So we do sanitization and then probably leave the vehicle in the guest premises, whether it is office or residence, for them to experience the product over the weekend, over their long drives. This actually worked out even more positive for us, because the more time that they are spending with the car, able to appreciate the Lexus car being an extension of their living space. So, and they are able to see the minute detail of craftsmanship, and they are able to appreciate it much, much better. And in addition to that, our existing guests are also playing a very important role, because this is the time, because of the confidence that has been built on the brand, there's a huge growth of reference that is happening. So a Lexus guest within the social circle is able to bring him with a lot of confidence. It is like bringing another family member to another family member's house. So that's how the brand space, like Deepak San also mentioned, is absolutely right. It's our guest experience center is completely shifted into a brand space where just to share with you a story that one of our guests who just walked in to have a cup of coffee with us in the experience center. And the kind of relationship that is being built with our Lexus relationship managers. And when he comes with his friends. So only if the guest has got that kind of confidence, then only he will come and spend time with us. But more importantly, the experience, as far as the product experience is concerned, we are doing it at the convenience of the guest based on his or her confidence, whether it is at the office space or at the residence. And we are ensuring that our Lexus relationship managers and care managers take absolutely topmost priorities on hygiene and safety of our employees as well as our guests. So we do everything that is possible so that we do not take any chance on this aspect.
Right, of course. Hygiene and safety now, of course, is topmost in everyone's mind. I mean, no matter what industry you operate in. So that's really the new buzzword. Deepak, again, coming back to, I'd just like to touch on digital again. Now, you mentioned that it was possible for somebody to look up, say, that sort of tire they want to buy online, and then have it fitted. Now, tires aren't exactly a layperson's subject, shall we say? It's fairly specific. It's a technical subject. It's not like logging on and buying, say, for lack of a better, I don't know, a battery pack or something. You have to know what you're looking at. The sizes, etc. So, how have customers reacted to that? How have they dealt with the technical aspect of things?
So I think you're right. The difference between a Lexus and automobile, one big difference is that they are a high involvement purchase, very emotional, and tires tend to be a low involvement category. And part of the reason is that consumers they are not that involved, and hence they don't know much, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know about the technical aspects. I would say bulk of the consumer. Of course,
Exactly.
there's a segment of the consumers who would be very involved, very passionate, and would know exactly what in a tire will help deliver the best driving experience for him or her. So the shift I see through digital is that digital brings the manufacturer closer to the consumer. So with the right kind of information and the right kind of fulfillment experience, if it is provided online, the consumers or the users can get to know about the product, about the various kinds of technologies we put in the product, and how they deliver a different kind of benefit to the consumer. So this kind of information, which was difficult to access earlier, is going to be very easy to access through the internet and through the websites.
Right.
So we expect that with this, people will be able to understand better about how superior our products are, or how they fit their needs, because the superiority is also on different dimensions, and different dimensions depend upon your needs. If you are you need to drive for long times, you need mileage. If you are a experienced driver or a SUV driver, you're looking more for handling and you're looking more for performance, right? So different tires do bring different kind of performance. A luxury consumer would seek more comfort, less noise, less vibration. So all those things, I think, through a digital information information is accessible, and hence they'll be able to understand about the products better. So that's a benefit of digital. Secondly, as I said, for a premium consumer, I think our premium dealerships would evolve more towards experiences.
Right.
And that's where you can go and really, immerse yourself into the product, really feel it, see it, understand it. And there would be maybe somebody who can guide you with the right kind of information based on your needs, what's right for you and why it is right for you. So that's how I see dealerships evolving and for premium segment, and hence helping people to understand the product better and find the right product for their fitment.
Right, of course. Venusan, we've been talking about phygital, in different ways. Now, going forward, as the situation changes, which of course it will, and given the fact that, as you mentioned, nobody knows what it's going to be because it's so unpredictable. Do you ever see the industry going back to, again, quote unquote, the good old days, the way it used to function? Or has it changed completely and forever? Do you look at this as a reboot, and this is the base from which now henceforth all of us must function? And so therefore, if digital is the new buzzword, and if digital is the way now largely to communicate with customers, what is your forecast, shall we say? If you look into the crystal ball a little bit, what do you see?
So I would say this from our experience over the last few months, and the new normal has not been constant. It has been
Precisely.
changing. So it's been very dynamic.
Right.
So while we can, from a larger perspective, say that it's going to be unpredictable, but there are some triggers which actually shows the way that the behavioral change will happen.
Right.
Some behavioral changes might be permanent. Some may go back to our original style. So from our point of view, we see a more kind of a hybrid. Now, today we are extremely conscious, and we are taking we are very measured and taking a lot of efforts to see that everything is safe and healthy. That part of it is going to continue. And while definitely over a period of time, there will be confidence for more interaction that will happen, because especially in our country and from Lexus point of view, we strongly believe that human touch is something which is extremely important. How much ever digital experience that we might go, we cannot replace the human element into the whole marketing experience. So at Lexus, we always talk about experience amazing. This experience amazing cannot be provided only through a digital platform. So we strongly believe that we need to be prepared. We need to be flexible. We need to adapt to the frequently changing behavioral pattern. At the end of the day, we need to do what our guests want. So we have to keep our eyes and ears open and grounded to understand what are the needs, especially about the younger customers' needs, which are changing very fast. So that is where we are spending a lot of time now, constant, and we are in the past we used to do some kind of a small research and try to do it, but now we are trying to involve our guests in a more larger number, able to connect with them in a virtual medium, trying to understand how their businesses are functioning, how they are adapting to the new normal. Today, when I'm hearing Deepak San also mentioning about what's happening in Bridgestone, there's also a lot of info that is coming to me on what kind of practices that we also need to change to take care of the rapidly changing customer needs.
Yeah. You mentioned younger customers. If I may, now globally, I've been chatting with some friends of mine who are in the market research business, and specifically as far as millennials and people from Generation Z, as it were, are concerned, they're a fairly unique set in that they're separated by not the fence that separates them is not too wide, shall we say. Their aspirations are quite similar. And this lot of people are increasingly moving away from personal transport, especially abroad. They're opting for either ride-hailing services, or if it's Europe or whatever, they're using public transport, they're cycling. But in India, millennials and people from Gen Z are very different. They're from the rest of the world, and they're still very aspirational. They're still coming up the ranks. They have larger hopes and dreams. How do you cash in on that younger generation as a brand that has traditionally been for somebody from an older segment?
So some of our experience during this last few months, in fact, the Lexus guest, the increasing trend of Lexus guest is largely coming from the influence of the children at home. When we are, there's a huge amount of learning when we are interacting with the younger children. We had like we need to be respecting every call that we might get into showroom. So there was one particular instance where a young college entrant who was talking to us, and he was talking about buying the Lexus. And in fact, his father later on, who took delivery of the vehicle, appreciated that we did not differentiate, or we did not take him lightly, but trying to explain the aspects of the product, especially the hybrid technology. So the millennials, like all of us, I think they need to be respected, and they come out with very good, very good interactions and debates. And that is actually opening up the way we need to market our product for the future. So they want to understand more about technology, what is going to be the future, what are the things that has gone behind making of the product. So it is just not the features alone. So they do a lot of research in the internet, and then they are able to have a very engaging dialogue with all our Lexus relationship managers and care managers, and we find them to be very, very passionate. And specifically to the behavioral change of the millennials during the COVID, I had an opportunity to be part of a webinar which involved people from luxury industry of real estate. And one startling difference is that previously the millennials were very reluctant to make a kind of an investment, but now things are slowly changing. And they are wanting to make, especially in the luxury segment, they would like to make an investment into luxury homes, then also into, and when we see the behavioral pattern in high-end malls, they're very specific. The guests who are walking in have already done a pre-work, and then walking straight to the particular brand and picking up what they want. These are some things which we need to be very clear about and have a close understanding, and accordingly change our marketing plan to take care of the needs of the guests.
So then would I be correct in saying that, or in suggesting that you think that the future is bright despite the challenges that we're facing now?
Definitely, especially on our country with a large young population. And it's only momentary, maybe 2-3 years. That's our hypothesis. But we're going to bounce back, and the industry will grow. If I have to give you specific numbers for the luxury car market, we are still about 1.9 to about 1.2% of the total passenger car market. But if you look at the developed countries, the percentage has increased to beyond 6% to even double-digit figures of 10 to 12%. So there is a huge potential for us, especially in the luxury car space. With the young population, both put together, we see that trend will improve, and we will have a good future.
Deepak, would you agree if I placed a crystal ball in front of you? What do you see in it?
Yeah, excellent. So I think I broadly agree with what Venugopal-san is saying, especially in terms of near term and medium term. But if you really put that ball in front of me, and I want to see maybe even further longer term future, I'll go back to, or I'll look at it in a little bit different way. The big mega trends which were there in the mobility space, we used to call it case mobility, right? Connected vehicles, autonomous vehicles, shared mobility, and electrification, right? So those were the mega trends in the industry. And so if we see how do they change or how they get affected in this scenario. So first on connected vehicles, to me, I think that is a trend which will get accelerated in the current scenario. Because vehicle is kind of now seen as a source of data. It's not just a mobility solution. but it's a source of data. With so much sensors, so much telematics, and internet in the car, vehicle becomes a source of you have driving conditions, you can get road conditions, you can get preferences of the user. I mean, what kind of music you listen to, what do you do in the vehicle. So to me, this is something which will get accelerated. And if this data is collected and analyzed properly, and premium and luxury vehicles are already fitted with all those things, and that data is available, this can lead to many different use cases. It can lead to personalization of vehicles. Another use case I can tell you, and Bridgestone is quite a leader in this space, because we are positioning ourselves as a mobility solution provider in future, right? So in one of the countries, so tire is the only part of the vehicle, as you said, it's the shoes, which comes in touch with the road, right? So the kind of data you can collect from tires about the road conditions is amazing. And we could map the road conditions of the whole city.
That's interesting.
And where are the potholes, what is the size of potholes, how deep it is, etc.
Wow. Okay.
And we could share it with the municipality. So for a smart city, this can be an excellent kind of way of maintaining building that roads, etc. Similarly, on vehicle, predictive maintenance can be much better. Safety, I mean, you can predict what is going to happen, and hence provide the right solution. So connected vehicles, to me, is definitely a trend which will get accelerated, because the shift to digital is growing. Autonomous, I think, is still a little far, and it needs a lot of investment. So these kind of crises sometimes lead to shift of investments. So maybe it may become a little slower, but anyway, it's a little far. Shared mobility. So the mega trend is that it is growing. Now, thanks to COVID, definitely it got hit, and because safety and hygiene is an important concern, and people don't want to be in public transportation. But my personal belief is that on a longer term basis, it has very strong roots. The shared economy, especially we talked of the millennial consumer. They do believe in shared economy, they do believe in shared vehicles, they do believe in subscription models, etc. And that's how they can afford luxury also, like getting a Lexus. So I think shared mobility will have a little blip, but longer term, I think it is a trend which will continue. And we as marketeers, we as automakers should kind of continue to work towards that. And electrical vehicles is definitely a huge trend. We are already, huge amount of effort is being put by the government, by the regulation, and we see the consumer already very much interested. And I would say lockdown brought another new awareness about environment. When people saw these clean environment, no pollution, because there were no factories running and there were no vehicles on the road. So this is like, smelling and feeling something which you just imagined earlier.
Exactly.
And now you felt
situation.
it. Yes, now you felt it, you've seen it. So your belief goes up even further. And I think that will also drive faster adoption of electrical vehicles. Even in countries like India, if the regulation continues to support it and allow it. So to me, this is how the more longer term future would evolve and continue to evolving.
Well, Venu-san, I think you're, as far as the last part of what Deepak mentioned was concerned, I think Lexus is, of course, very well placed to take advantage of that. But gentlemen, I won't take up any more of your time. Frankly, it's been very heartening to chat with the two of you and see just the positivity and also the optimism that both of you have expressed about not just your respective industries, but about the future of the country, in many ways, as it were, because these, large industries are all part of what drives the economy. So it's really nice to see that in the middle of fairly bleak times, people such as yourselves are confident and are looking forward to the future in ways that will help drive change. That's really good to see. Again, thank you very much for joining us. I know that, as I mentioned before, I know all of you are really busy, and hopefully we will meet in person before all of this is over. Venu-san, I think I need to return the favor from that birthday trip of mine in Japan. That story, of course, just to quickly tell you, Deepak, I was on a trip with Lexus in Japan last year, and it was my birthday, and we were sat down to dinner, and suddenly a huge cake appeared, so which was quite good fun. So those are the things that, frankly, that I miss, human interaction and sort of getting to sort of sitting in close proximity and having a drink, having a meal, whatever, rather than these Zoom meetings, which have become the norm. But hopefully we will all head back in that direction soon. Like I said, thank you for joining us. And I wish all of you, both of you, all the very best. I'm sure we'll interact soon again. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Pablo.
Thank you.
Thanks, Venu-san. Pleasure meeting you. Great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.